Hey, this is Kevin from Kevin's Barbecue Joints. In this episode, I talked with Alex Weaver from Project BBQ in Johnson City, Tennessee. Good morning, Alex. How you doing?
I'm doing good, brother. I've been a little under the weather the past couple days. I guess they sent the corona back around, and I'm like on the verge. I'm like, do I have it? My head's all congested, my throat. So I'm kind of just chilling out today. I was supposed to be at the beach actually. Supposed to be doing my little vacation this year. My birthday's tomorrow, so I always do like a little Folly
Oh,
Beach, Charleston kind of little birthday excursion. But yeah, I was feeling a little under this week, so
well, happy birthday, and I'm sorry you're
thank you.
not feeling well. But
It's all good.
you you don't look sick. But yeah, there is something. There's also something going around too. I think there's like some kind of head coldy. There always is, right? There's
Yeah,
something. I think for the rest of our lives there'll be something going around.
yeah,
But
yeah.
but I also see that you're wearing an M&M shirt, which is like I was telling you off air. That's the one, the shirt that I
Oh
want.
yeah.
It's such a cool shirt. I think that because I think Matt was wearing it when I interviewed them, but they might have been both. But that was from some pits. So we'll talk. We have a lot to talk about and a lot to unpack. And we've been trying to do this for how
Oh yeah,
long? I don't know,
months, like half a year maybe.
half a year, probably. So
But
so
it all
did
works out in due time.
so we were talking about Texas. Where did you grow up in Texas?
No, so I actually grew up, was born upstate New York, but moved to Johnson City, East Tennessee, and went to high school here.
Oh,
Graduated when I was 18. I played soccer my whole life and got a scholarship actually to St. Edward's University in Austin, just a
okay.
few miles up South Congress from University of Texas. Got out there by way of just playing soccer. Never even I've honestly never even heard of Austin. Prior to going out for like my high school, I did like an official visit out there my senior year and absolutely fell in love with it. This is a small town of probably 60, 70,000 people here in Johnson City. And then just going out there was just like, wow, like there's so much.
And so it's soccer wise, what I'm curious about because I know like not that soccer's been big globally forever and it's been
Yeah.
kind of niche, but it seems like soccer's all over the place. And
Oh,
maybe it's just because I'm paying more
yeah.
attention to it. But
Oh yeah, now it is like growing up. I've always loved soccer, but it was never like, oh, I got to go play pro because even the pro players in like the MLS back, 2000s,
yeah,
they could have like a second job. Like
yeah.
so it wasn't paying the bills unless you're like Landon Donovan, like top notch, one of the best, handful of players in the US. Yeah, so I've always kind of never was like, oh, I want to go play professional or anything like that.
Now the opportunities are huge probably for
Oh my
a good
gosh,
soccer
yeah,
player.
it is. It's growing. So I mean, this past year with Messi coming to the U.S., it's just. I mean, I'm sure you've seen. Even if you don't
Yeah, if
know,
even if you
I
weren't
don't know
paying
anything
attention,
about
yeah.
soccer, you're gonna know. So yeah, it's been blowing up, which is good. It's real good. I'm glad it's finally catching on here in the U.S.
How long did you live there? Or did you stay because you
I
just
moved in 2021. So right before, I don't know if you remember when the big freeze happened in Austin,
yeah,
in
yeah.
Texas.
I
I
can
left. I had all my stuff packed up. I left. I think that freeze hit on Friday. I had all my stuff out and I was on my way home on Tuesday. So 3 days before that big freeze, I dipped out and was headed back here. I was there for
barbecue.
11 years.
And what were you doing there? Were you other than soccer, were
So
you eating
school,
barbecue and
yeah, yeah. So school 2010 to 2014. And then I played like a little like a semi-pro little indoor, so traveled around doing some of that. And then I was working on the lake with one of my buddies who started float on boat rentals in Austin.
oh,
And so I was just renting out boats and stuff and driving boats for bachelorette parties because that's all it was. It was just tons. We had like 15 boats and so I was just driving 2 4-hour boat rentals every single day. It was just all bachelorette
was it
people.
fun or
A
was
big
it
party.
annoying
Oh my
or
gosh. It's hands down like it's the best job. Like I can't even lie. Like I love barbecue, but it's just like looking back and like all my friends and stuff on like Snapchat or whatever, and I'm out there like sweating at like 4 a.m. in the morning. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this, what am I doing?
okay, because they're still doing it, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They're still doing it, and it's just every day is just like a party. But I mean, I knew that wasn't gonna last.
I'll put a link to their stuff below because
Yeah,
that's if someone has a bachelorette party or a bachelor party or other
for
party,
sure.
they can but you said like the water is definitely receded a bit, but it's
Oh my gosh, yeah, yeah. So we used to be just on Lake Austin, which is the Colorado River,
Mhm.
and so we used to just be there. And then we moved to Lake Travis once we started we got a lot of boats, and a lot of people were like, "Hey, can we go to Lake Travis?" So we put some boats out there, and that's what's really because the Colorado River, it's like dammed off. They can kind of control that a lot more than the big Lake
Gotcha.
Travis. So you don't notice it on Lake Austin or the Colorado River, but when you get out to Lake Travis, that's where you really start to see
Gotcha. So while you were there, you must have been sampling barbecue, right?
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So my barbecue journey actually
Yeah. How does that
started.
start?
Yeah. So that started, I was actually working on my pilot's license 2015. And
Wow.
yeah, yeah. So now I was flying out of Lockhart, Texas. So I drive from Austin south to Lockhart basically every day to do like flight instruction, and I would pass by Black's Barbecue. And so that was my first taste
Okay.
of, barbecue. And I never heard of brisket either. Like for coming from Tennessee, like now it's like people aren't doing it necessarily like right here. People, there's nobody that has like offset smokers. It's still like maybe like Southern Pride. I think someplace maybe have like a
Mhm.
Southern Pride. It's like half propane, maybe half
Yeah,
wood.
yeah.
But prior to like before we started up in 2021, I think maybe like one place did actually tried brisket around here.
Wow.
But yeah, so I got my taste of brisket. I'd always go, it's literally right next to the airport, the Black's Barbecue. So I would cruise in, stop and get like a half pound of brisket and some white bread and their spicy barbecue sauce. And I would just like eat that on the way to the plane, basically.
That's so
Hop
cool.
in. Yeah. So every day, literally, like they knew me there. I'd just walk in and they would be like half pound and some white bread. I'm like, yes, that's it. That's it.
And that's a
So
perfect little meal, really, if you look
it
at
really is. It's perfect. I made like two sandwiches out of it. It was
it.
perfect.
So what was that first? I'm curious because I know when I went to Texas, I was so green and I didn't know because California, we didn't have a tradition of barbecue back then. And to like I didn't know how to slice it. I didn't know people how people ordered it. What was it like that very first time? Do you remember it all? Like what
I'm
was it
trying to
weird or
think.
intimidating or do you remember just like
I was definitely like holding up the line. I was definitely like in there, and it's long line out the door, and I'm like, dang, like I didn't know anything about it. I was like,
yeah, of
it's just to like sit down. I didn't know it was like a walkthrough. I literally
course,
knew
yeah.
nothing prior to like
Yeah.
2015. So yeah, I get up there and I see all the sides, and I see the guy slicing the meat right there on the board, and I'm just like, wow, like I've never seen anything like this. But yeah, I mean, I was always familiar, with like steaks and everything like that. So I knew kind of like what, like, oh, okay, half pound is probably like good, or maybe I ordered a pound or
Or a
something.
burger, like a quarter
Yeah.
pound or half. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Might have went with one of like my flight instructor actually, possibly. But yeah, I mean, I don't really remember
Yeah, I was just curious
exactly,
if yeah.
but I just remember that I definitely remember my first bite of brisket. And I've always like I cook growing up cooking and stuff. And when I moved out to Austin, especially living by myself, I started cooking. And so I just had never tasted anything like that, like
Yeah.
at all. So it was just like, wow,
So as your journey went on, did you go to other places? Did you buy yourself a
everywhere.
small offset or okay?
So I think I can't remember when exactly that Yeti barbecue where you get all the stamps,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
passport, barbecue passport. So I can't remember when exactly that
2017 maybe?
was. That 2017.
I think
Okay,
so.
so I think probably 2015, 2016 when I was like working on my license, I probably just hit Blacks, like legit. I was like, I'm addicted, like and I go past it every day. So I probably just hit Blacks, and then once I got my license and started flying, then I remember like started flying out to another spot and started taking the barbecue car there and taking it out to the get barbecue at this other spot. So I'd fly into Cooper's all the time, and I know now they have one in Austin too, but it's just not the same. So I'd fly into Cooper's all the time in Delano, and yeah, so that was probably like my second spot, and then after that, I think my brother, probably like 2017, whenever that Yeti thing came out, I had my license. And so me and some buddies would literally just fly around. Like we didn't complete it all, but yeah, we went to probably 20,
Oh, that's
25
cool.
different barbecue
It
places.
helps
Just
when you have a pilot's license. It
yeah,
does.
yeah. And so I would just call, I'd find out where all the barbecue places were, and I'd call, check and see if there's like an airport near there. And I would just call them like, hey, do you guys have a courtesy car? I want to go check out this barbecue spot for like an hour. And if they did, then I was there. I would
Oh,
be like, okay, I'm
that's
coming in.
genius.
It was amazing. It was awesome for sure. So
Did,
that was definitely a highlight in my barbecue
well,
career.
how did you start cooking barbecue?
So I started cooking probably right around 2017, 2018. My brother moved to Austin as well, bought a house. I moved in with him and he bought a Traeger. So after that, I was like, okay, well, I still at that point, I don't think I even knew really like how they made it taste so good. I didn't start like YouTubing or anything yet.
Yeah.
And so we got a Traeger. I was like, okay, this thing smokes. Like, I guess I could probably smoke a brisket on that. And I have pictures that pop up randomly on my first brisket I cooked. And
Scary.
like, oh my gosh. Yeah. So I started doing that and then I just got the bug. I was like, dude, why can I? And I was always pretty good at cooking. And so I was like, why can I not do this? Like, what is it? Like, well, how come they can make it taste so good?
So
And
it
so
became
from
a
there,
challenge.
after the very first one, I was like, this is not, I was like, what's the secret for sure? So that's where I started my, probably 2017, 2018, I started my research, my YouTube barbecue school
But
research.
did you think that you were going to go down this path, or
No.
what was your goal before then? What did you think you were going to be a pilot, like a commercial pilot, or?
So yeah, I was going for it. I knew I had just had to build hours. I needed to have at least 1,000 hours, and so that's kind of why I was flying around, flying friends around. Like, hey, like I'll fly you here if you just help me pay for gas, something like that. You know,
Yeah.
being broke kid out there in Austin, doing whatever I can to get these hours in. And I was like, oh, I'll take you to the barbecue spot, whatever, just help pay for gas. But no, so 2018 actually, my first thing I did on my own, I opened up a food truck back here in Johnson City. I moved back for just about a little under a year. I got one of my buddies that still lived in here in East Tennessee, and we opened up a Philly cheesesteak food
Oh,
truck.
okay.
And so it was actually my very first job back in 2006. I worked, my old soccer coach opened up Alley Cat, the Philly cheesesteak spot. It was actually a brick and mortar. So I worked there from when I was like 14 to
Ah, see.
18. And then it closed down in 2015. It was like, it's like a super famous, well known place here in Johnson City. And so that closed down in 2015. And in 2018, I was like, man, like this, I would love to be able to do this. And so I had the idea, went back to my old soccer coach. I was like, hey, can I like buy the name from you? I was like, I already know how to make everything. I don't necessarily need any like the recipes. And so he thought that was a really cool idea. So he let me get the name and
Oh,
everything. And so I moved back here for a little under a year and built a team and had Alley Cat going. And so did that and then moved back 2019 back to Austin and started working back on the lake. And then I started the official barbecue career when Corona hit because the lake shut down, everything shut down. So I actually, at that point, all like, you know, airlines and stuff was like kind of going under.
yeah.
Everyone's kind of getting laid off in the airlines. And so I sold the plane. I was actually, so when I bought in, I bought in, I was the fourth member of this airplane. It was a little four-seater Piper airplane. And then over the years, I ended up buying, you know, everybody out. So it was just me. And then I ended up selling that plane in Corona time, 2020, and then used that money to buy my first barbecue trailer. And it was like a little 20-foot trailer, had like a 5 by 6 foot like enclosed spot, and then a 250-gallon offset smoker on the front.
Was that from Primitive? Was your first one?
No, no, no. I found it off of this. It was built by this guy. Yeah, this random guy who lived out in like Burnett or something like that.
Okay.
It was like an hour or so away. I found it on Facebook Marketplace and just went out there and got that from him. And it was nothing. Yeah, it was nothing special at all. The firebox was like this big. It was tiny. And I was like, why can I control these temperatures? But yeah, I ended up, you know, figuring it out and just setting up. I was setting up right outside of my house on basically right outside the neighborhood. I actually went and printed off like 500 flyers for my first barbecue setup and just door to door, just went in and passed them out to everybody and had like a little menu on there and the time that I was going to set up. It was like 3 days from whenever I passed everything out. Had a lot of people. I sold out first time. It was right there in the neighborhood. It was like a pretty big, you know, pretty bigger neighborhood. A lot of people walk around and everything all the time. So it worked out perfectly for the first couple times until the HOA was like, no.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
But yeah, it got the word out. And so
Was it
then
called Project
eventually
Barbecue at the beginning?
it was because it was my next project. I was just
Okay.
like, well, what am I doing? I was like, oh, just Project Barbecue, whatever. And then it just stuck. But yeah, so started doing it in the neighborhood and then basically got kicked out of the neighborhood. HOA is like, no. And they didn't even want me to keep my smoker in my own driveway. Like it was in my driveway, but the HOA was like, nah, dude, like you can't keep that
Like
here.
the way it looks, they just don't want to. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, what? And so
HOAs are weird sometimes, really
I
weird. Yeah.
know it really is. But then I found a spot. It was like now I think they opened it up, but it was just a building that had been closed down, like overrun grass all over the place. It was right next to a gas station, like quarter mile from my house, like where I was setting up already. And so I set up. I called that person, found out who owned it, and called them. I was like, hey, I'll clean up this whole area. I'll mow. I'll do whatever and clean it up if you just let me use this park. It was a perfect little parking spot. It was like a U shape almost. So I just set up right at the top of the U.
Oh,
So people
perfect.
just pull right through and then pull out. Super easy. So I started setting up there. From there, so at that time, all the bars were like starting to open back up, but you had to have food. Like you had to have like offset food sales with alcohol sales or something
Uh,
weird like
I
that.
remember something like that.
So
Yeah.
yeah, and so One of the owners or managers of Little Woodrow's. It's a bar out there in Austin. I think there's a handful of them actually in Austin. But he came and got food, and he's like, "Hey man, like, do you just want to stay here, or would you be interested in setting up at a bar?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm open to anything." I was like, "How much are you gonna charge me though?" And he's like, "I'm not gonna charge you anything." He's like, "You just come over here whenever you want." And so I went and checked it out, and it's huge. It was a huge, like, cool indoor, like, big garage door opens
Oh,
up,
perfect.
like, probably seating for 200 people outside. There's games, everything, big TVs everywhere. So I just pulled in my trailer and I set up Thursday to Monday, every week, just doing it by myself for a while. And then from there, actually, this is kind of where it kind of like moved me up a little bit. The owner of this little underground bar named Sam's Town Point. It's
Okay.
like a music spot, like an underground music spot where tons of like famous musicians come, and it's like a bar, but it's like super underground. He invited me to come set up there for one of their events, and so I went and set up there, and the people there were like so like gracious for me being there. It was different than Little Woodrow's. Little Woodrow's was more just like, I don't know, like a bar, and it was like
Yeah.
they had a pizza spot actually that was like attached to it as well. So it was like they had pizza, then like my little raggedy barbecue shop. I had no signs. I was literally just like out there chilling in a chair, like out in front of it. Like, all right, this is,
Uh,
I maybe, made like, brought in like $1,000 like Thursday to Monday. You know what I mean? And so it was just me, and I was like having fun doing it. Yeah. And then so Samstown Point, I went over there and just crushed it. Did what I would do in 4 days in 3 hours.
oh,
And
that's
that was the only food. And it was like secluded back in this, like, it's almost like a private property. It's kind of a weird setup. I went there and I was like, "Ooh, this is kind of weird." There's like everyone that worked there basically like lived there. So there's like a whole bunch of little houses along the property. I was like, I don't know about this,
like a
but
cult thing.
yeah, it really was. But the people were so nice. It was like, I got to try this out. And so I went, and everybody was just like coming up and just thanking me for being there. And it was super, super cool. And so I ended up just making that like my new spot. And so I did that for probably like 5, 6 months, just right there. And then I met a guy named Scott Fogel, who
Yeah.
was just there listening to music. He got some of my food, and he's like, "Bro," he's like, where'd you learn this?" And he's like, he's like, "How are you running this pit?" And that's who told me. He's like, "Dude, I was like, "Dude, I'm having trouble, honestly, like keeping it up to temp." And he's like, "No shit." He's like, "Look at your firebox." And it was just a tiny little firebox. I just had to shove it full of wood. And he's like, "Your firebox is so small, man." He's like, "I'm impressed, honestly, like that you're doing this like with this setup." Yeah, so it's crazy. So this guy, I had no clue who he was at the time. He just came up and he's like, "Yeah, dude, I'm the pit master over here at Alice's restaurant at Treaty Oak." And I was kind of just like, "Yeah, sure." But like I didn't know. I was like, "Oh, cool." Like, and then I came back and he was there again. He gave me his number. He's like, "Anytime you want to come over, like check us out, man, just reach out." And
Oh,
so I kept doing my thing for a little bit, and people were loving it. So in the meantime, I was like kind of talking to some people back here, like, "Hey, how do you think like a Texas style barbecue spot would do, back home?" I was like, "Well, if I do this, like, I want someone to come in, kind of do it with me to help." And so I convinced my dad and my brother-in-law in the meantime to join forces. Basically, my dad was like basically retired. He was like working at like golf courses, doing like the greens stuff. And my brother-in-law was working. Had like his own lawn mowing service, and worked for Aramark, which is like delivering
yeah.
towels and stuff like that to restaurants. So I eventually, it took at least a month or two of like, my dad was on board, but Steve, my brother-in-law, who's married to my sister, they have a couple kids, so he was like, I don't know about this. Like, I don't know if I want to quit everything I'm doing and trust you to do this Texas style barbecue.
Yeah, in Tennessee.
Yeah. And so finally got them on board. And so I reached out to Scott and I was like, "Dude, I honestly, I'm a YouTube barbecuer, essentially. Like, I put in hours and hours all night long, all day long, like looking up everything. I did the whole Franklin, I did anything I could find on it."
Yeah.
So convinced them to come. And then I reached out to Scott, and then I told them I actually reached out to Scott. I reached out to Valentina's. I reached out to just like a handful of barbecue places that was just like, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. I fell in love with Texas barbecue. I'm moving back to Johnson City, Tennessee, far away from here. Um, could I come and like just work for free for and I literally just copy and pasted this message, basically to, like 5 places. Valentina's got back to me. And then I texted Scott and told him the same thing. He's like, oh, bro, come out here whenever you want. So Scott was definitely the one that was like super open with
Oh, that's
me.
nice to hear.
But yeah, so I went over to Valentina's, and he wasn't trying to like really do that. He was like, oh, you can come check stuff out and I'll talk with you and maybe give you some pointers or something, lead you in the right way. So did that, talked with him. That's about as far as that went at Valentina's. And then Scott was like, dude, come out here whenever. And so I was like, okay, when do your guys get there? He's like 5 a.m. I was like, all right, I'll be there tomorrow, 5 a.m. And so I just was there, and I told him, I'm planning on going back in a month. I already had my plan like to leave. And so I was just upfront with him. I was like, dude, like I do want to learn, you know what I mean? But I was like, I'll do it for free. I'll help wherever you put me. First week I went in there, and the first day they put me on like brisket trimming, and I'm in there with Elias Vidal, with what's his name's brother.
Yeah.
My mind is just so blank whenever I try to think of names.
That's okay. Same with
Miguel.
that.
So Miguel's brother, Elias. Yeah. So he kind of was like the pitmaster, but Scott was like the pitmaster at that time. So I was in there with them, trimming briskets, looking at the way they do everything. And I was like, dang, like I'm already doing this. Like I was doing this before I even knew I was doing it the right way. And so I knew I was on the right track. I stayed over there and just helped them for a couple of weeks, went to a couple of big, like they always have big events where all of the different barbecue guys come in and they cook up little small plates and stuff like that. So I went to a couple of those just as like a customer, basically. I wasn't like helping with those or anything, just to check everything out and see all the different, different stuff that everyone was doing. And I just completely fell in love. And
what a cool property too.
Oh my gosh, that's like my goal. I would love to open up something like that here in Tennessee.
Definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, so me and Elias, like he was super open and just super down to earth guy. And so we hit it off. He would answer anything and everything that I asked him. And we're still friends to this day. We, kind of kick back, hit each other up online occasionally if I ever have any questions or anything.
Is he running things now that Alice?
Yeah, he's running everything over there and just absolutely crushing it. Like he deserves everything that he's getting. But yeah, super, super down to earth guy. Shout out to Elias. But yeah, and so after I put in a little bit of time there, I don't know if somebody told me. So at that point, I was looking for a smoker. I knew I had to bring a smoker back to Tennessee. Like they don't have these here. You know what I mean? Like there's tons of barbecue, but they don't have this style smoker. So I don't know if somebody like reached out to me and was like, hey, like there's this 575 gallon pit. It was actually Philip Hellberg's old pit.
Oh, really?
575 gallon, which I still have to this day. It was in a cage covered. It was our first pit. So I ended up getting that. And it's funny because the guy who owned it, his name is Mark Gabrick, which is Gabrick barbecue sauces. It's like all over HEB now. Like he's like pretty popular now. And so I bought the smoker off of Mark, who
got it from Hellberg?
From Hellberg. Yeah.
Okay.
Because I think they moved up to like 1,000 gallons or something like that.
Yeah.
And so Mark was using that, I guess, like smoke his sauces. And then he ended up getting like a Moberg or something and selling me the Harper pit. And so I got that like a week before moving out here to Tennessee. And we tried to go back. Loaded it down with as much post oak wood that we could. And
what are you planning on opening a brick and mortar here? They're in.
I wasn't.
Okay.
I wasn't. We were just we moved back here, or I came back here. And actually before I even moved here, I had everything planned out though. I bought that smoker. My brother-in-law and my dad were gonna come drive out to Austin, help me bring all my stuff, trailer the smoker back and all that. And I found a huge, like 32-foot long food trailer in South Carolina. And so I wrote him, probably paid him like a deposit when I was still in Austin. I was like, hey, give me 2 weeks. I'm gonna be there and pick this thing up. And so sure enough, we get back, get everything sorted out. Me and my dad go to South Carolina and pick up this trailer. And within a month, we're open and running. And I think it was like,
and where were you at?
So yeah, so I was in a parking lot of before I like I said, I had everything planned out. So I was like, okay, where am I going to set up? Where am I going to do this? And so one of my other buddies who I met through Alley Cat, the first food truck, him and his son used to come in and get Phillies and wings and stuff all the time. And they just fell in love with it. And so I made a relationship with Jeff Bedard, who owns Crown Laboratories, huge, like, Fortune 500 company over here. And I reached out to him, who's a big foodie, and I was like, "Hey, like, should I bring this back?" You know, and he'd always comment in all my pictures early on Project BBQ when I was in Austin, like, "Dang, like I wish we had brisket. I wish we had that over here." And I was like, "Well, maybe I
Yeah,
can.
soon enough.
You want to help me out with like finding a spot in Johnson City?" And he owns, property all over the place. And one of his offices that he had just bought was a big bank, which is right on the main North Roan Street, right next to the mall, literally like the place to be at. And so he let me set up in his parking lot for free for the first year. And so we just moved in there and immediately just crushed it. They had like, they probably have 100 and something employees in that office right there. And we're right off the main road. So it was just like instant, like people were on it. So super fortunate that it worked out like that. And shout out to Jeff Bedard, Crown Labs. He helped.
That's nice. That's so nice.
Yeah.
And if anybody's wondering, that sneezing, that was your dog, right?
Yeah, my dog's down here just I don't even know what he's doing.
He was like dreaming or something. That's cool. So from there, were you still in the back of your mind thinking, I want to do a brick and mortar for this, or
not even really? It happened so fast.
It seems like it.
So we were open there. We were literally open there from March 2021 to March of 2022, and we were just selling out. Like we bought like a 16 by 10-foot shed that we put right outside, had put electricity in it, had fridges, a freezer, a whole bunch of stuff in there for storage. We were just running out of space. Like we had no place to put stuff. And on top of that, the city was awful. Like they're like, what is this big propane tank in the parking lot? It's too close to a tree. We had to cut down trees in Jeff's bank, a big bank parking lot. That I was like, why? I was like, this is not gonna catch on fire. Like it was just ridiculous. And they let us, like, one person in the city let us put a porta potty out there, and then someone else called like, oh, no porta potty. So we had to walk like a quarter mile just to go to the bathroom if we had to go. And so it was just like, and the funny thing is we set up behind, so we were in the bank parking lot, but it was behind Smoky Bones, which is like a barbecue place.
More like a rib place or something.
Yeah. And so for a while, all my guys would like go into Smoky Bones to use the bathroom, and they'd act like they were just like gonna get a table, but then like skirt off to the bathroom and then walk back across the parking lot to go to the barbecue trailer or whatever.
Did people from Smoky Bones ever come over to you guys and say, "Hey, what are you doing?"
No, they didn't, because it was on private property. It was in the bank parking lot, but it was like right behind the Smoky Bones too. So it wasn't Smoky Bones property, but that was like the closest thing to us. And then so we were there for a year, running out of space, selling out of food. So we were looking around just to see what all made sense, and we were terrified, to sign like an actual lease.
It's a big deal.
Coming from a free spot, we're like, well, I mean, this is working. Like, why not keep doing this? And then, but it was just, it's cold here in the winter. And actually, to get our water, we got it from the bank, but we had 6 50-foot water hoses that we had to tie together and string up to the bank parking lot to get water. And so, and in the winter, I mean, it just freezes. Everything freezes, tank freezes, water. It was miserable. And so we were just running into so many.
And for people that don't know, like when I wrote you last night, it was you're on the eastern part of Tennessee, so you're in Eastern time. Like
Nashville is on Central time, but so we're on Eastern over here.
Yeah, because like you're closer, when I was looking at the map, like closer to like Raleigh and Greensboro. Like you're 3 hours from Greensboro, which I used to fly into Greensboro a lot for business. And so
we're 50 minutes from Asheville, North Carolina too. It's like beautiful drive right through the mountains. So it's amazing little drive over there.
Where like Elliot Moss used. I don't know if Elliot's opening back up in Nashville, but he Buxton Hall was.
Oh yeah,
but that was he left that. No, I think they still have. He left. So it was it was like a bucket list place for me. I don't know how it is now, but he's opening his own place with his wife. I think he was in Nashville before. I'm not positive, but I've always heard like there's a lot of artists in Nashville. I mean, in Asheville, there's like pottery people. There's a lot of really good.
It's very Austin-like. Asheville is like a small Austin vibe, honestly.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, that's rad. Okay, I didn't realize like that part of the country. That's interesting how close you are to that. So so it gets really cold. So then it made sense. You had to find a brick and mortar.
Yeah. So we found. It's funny how it happened too. There was a spot that during Corona it closed for probably like 6 months, and I'd always drive by. It was like a standalone restaurant, small. It's only like 1,600 square feet. Huge parking lot all the way around though. And I knew by how we were in the food truck, we needed parking spots just because we had a huge bank parking lot, but that would get filled up basically. Like it was pretty good. And so we looked at a lot of places that were like attached to other places, you know what I mean? That was like a shopping mall type place, but the parking situation, and like we knew that we had one smoker, but like, hey, we're gonna have to have another smoker. So like we were asking the landlord and everything, like, hey, we're gonna have to put smokers out here like in the parking lot somewhere. And they were just like, no, I don't know about that. Like,
Yeah.
what's a big propane tank smoker? Like, no one even knew what that really was. And so I was like, okay, we just got to find our own spot. And so there's a spot only like 5 minutes from my house that I would drive by that closed down for Corona, but they opened back up and there was like one car in the parking lot at all time. Like, they were super slow. And so I just went by there a handful of times and I was like, hey, this is my name, yada yada yada. I don't know your situation, but I would love to take over the spot. Like, I'm not trying to be like a dick or anything, but if you ever want out of the spot, I would love to
Yeah.
take over the spot. And he was like, oh, no, no, no. And then I was like, okay, well, take my number. Within 2 months, probably a month, he called me. He was like, hey, is this Alex? Did you come by, like, checking out my spot and interested in it? And I was like, oh yeah. So he was like, I think I would be willing to lease it out to you. And so yeah, we worked out a deal, and probably within a few months we were up and going in
And
there.
is it that multicolored building?
Yeah, it's like green and red. Yeah, it's
What
kind of,
what was it before? Italian or
it
something? Or
was so prior to what it was whenever we took over, it actually used to be probably the most famous barbecue spot in Johnson City. It was called Dixie Barbecue.
okay.
So it was that, but before that, it was a place called like Route 36 Grill. It was like burgers and fries,
Okay.
stuff like that. Prior to that, it was Dixie Barbecue for like 10 years or so, which I never went to because I didn't even care about like pulled pork. I've never been like a pulled pork fan or
Yeah.
anything. So really, I never even ate barbecue before I left to go to Texas. Like,
Oh.
honestly, like if I went to like a barbecue spot or something like that, then it was this place called Firehouse, which is not even, I don't even know how it's considered barbecue. I guess they sell pulled pork, but I would get like chicken fingers. You know what I mean? It was never, it was
Isn't that
never,
funny how your life is so much different than it was
yeah,
when you were
yeah,
younger?
it's
But
crazy.
like when did you guys physically open when did you guys open this physical location? What
We opened like middle to end of March. So we went in there, we got the spot
of this year?
March of 2021.
Oh, 2020. Well, this is all the way back
Oh,
then.
sorry.
Okay.
No, no. March. So we opened the trailer March of 2021. March of 2022,
22. Okay.
we opened up in the restaurant. We built like we had to do a lot in there. We poured a big pad outside for tables, put like a big awning, and put a bar in there. This place was like slapped together. Like the counter that they had before, it was like it had like four different counters that they just like put together as different sizes and everything. It was just all over the place. So we actually got a bar built, not a full bar, just a bar of beer. We got like 6 taps, so got that built and then added in a back door. There was only one door, one way in, one way out, and we knew that it was going to be like jam. So we
Yeah.
ended up building a back door in there, and then yeah, opening it up mid to end of March.
Do you have counter service there, or is it like do you order then?
So you order right when you walk in, and then we give you a number to put at your table, and
Okay.
then we have runners that just bring out the food. But it's super fast. It's really probably just about as fast as line service, honestly. Like
Nice.
and
That's
it's
cool.
super super quick. We have our kitchen setup is like it's legit. We got it very efficient.
What's your menu there, and what days are you open?
We're open right now, Thursday through Saturday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. I mean, we got all the stuff. We started off at the food truck trying to be Texas style, like just doing the meats by the half pound, and then like the sides kind of a la carte. People are like, "What do you mean? I can't just get like a platter?" Like, and I'm just like, I mean, you can. You just gotta like make it
Make it.
yourself.
Yeah.
Get a half pound of this and a couple small sides, and there's your platter. But
Yeah.
it was so hard to
I
explain
understand
to
that. I've
people.
heard that 1,000 times. Yes.
Yeah. And so I was like, you know what? We're just making up little platters. As time went on, we just kind of piecing together like platters and stuff like that, and different sandwiches. And but at the new spot, it's gonna be meats and everything a la carte. And
Okay.
we'll still have like we've got like a few sandwiches called like the schmack and cheese, where it's like basically Texas toast, buttered, rosemary, garlic butter, everything toasted, and then a scoop of our smoked mac and cheese, and then whatever protein you want. So it's like a big mac and cheese sandwich. And then
That's
we
cool.
got a couple specialty burgers and stuff like that that we'll keep on the menu, but we're definitely gonna like simplify it.
Mhm.
And we're not gonna have all the platters, all the double meat, three meat, all that. It's just gonna be like meat by the half pound, quarter pound, whatever, and then sides, small, medium, large, and kind of make it a little simpler.
Because you're making scratch made sausage, right?
We were. So
Oh, okay. You were okay.
we were doing that, and then we started selling so many burgers that we couldn't make
Uh,
our burgers with our brisket trim and sausage. So yeah, we spent tons of money on all the sausage, on all that stuff, and did it for a few months. And I loved it, but the burgers are so much easier and make. I mean, it's just so much easier,
and
and
people are
people.
ordering them like crazy, right?
Yeah, and we found a brand of sausage from our food service that is honestly like it's unreal. It's so good. Just a cheddar jalapeno and then like a beef, just like a regular beef
Well, that works.
sausage. And yeah, it's so good. Like honestly, we have a lot of people, and I'll eat sauce. Like that's like my snack, really. I'll just like slice sausage and eat that more than I'll eat anything else right now. But yeah, it's so good, honestly.
Are people lining up before you open?
It was more so before, but I think now people know that we don't sell out until later on in the day. And so people now we'll have a handful of people, but people know now they don't 11 to 12, the people that come back, they don't come at that time because it is busy, but they'll come late. They know that they
Like
can
at
come
one or
from
two
12 to
or
2. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So they kind of waited off. All the regular customers, they know now, like, okay, we don't have to be first in line. We can still get burn ends. We can still get everything. Especially now with this new rotisserie that we got from M&M, we are we can
So is
we
the M&M at the original location?
it is so we got Big Blue right before we opened. We got Big Blue, the big 1000 M&M in March of 2022. So we were running the 570 for the Harper Pit and the M&M, and we were running those, and we would still sell out. So we were selling out not early or anything, but we were getting tons of complaints. People were like 7 to 8 p.m. Oh, like why would you sell out? How does the place sell out? Like that doesn't make any
What kind
sense.
of business are you running? Yeah.
Yes, dude. And we still to this day, we
Yeah.
still
I
get it.
think
It's just
that's
not a
yeah.
it's not a thing. And also, whenever we had the line, it actually made people leave. People were like, "Why would there be a line? Like that doesn't make any sense." They're like, people like, we don't want to wait in a line.
And they
And
probably all they think you're idiots that you can't serve fast enough, not realizing it's just
yes,
popular. Like, yeah, yeah.
yes,
It's weird.
exactly. And they were mad. I mean, people are mad about, oh, why would you gotta order before you sit down? It's always something. You know what I mean? So it's just like, okay, people. Uh,
Yeah, I know it's, but everyone's a little bent out of shape in general these days. It
yeah.
seems like the last couple few years. Well, so then you had two pits there, and then now you've added a
So
thousand.
just a month ago, we
I
got the
thought that
big.
was for your new place. Okay, that's for this place.
So it
Okay,
is. We got it for the new place, but we have like a smoke. We got like a covered place that we have all the smokers under,
okay,
and so we're going to continue smoking. We'll probably bring the Harper pit over to the new spot because it's covered in itself, and so we can be out there for smoking the burgers, the beans, the queso, ribs for that day, sausage, all that stuff. But the majority of, I mean, all the briskets, all the pork butts, all that stuff will still be cooked at the original location, and
okay.
then we'll just transfer it over in the morning of.
Where is this second location?
The second location, it's only about 12 to 15 minutes away from our other spot, but it's like whole different side of town, like a whole different. It's off of actually the road that goes to Asheville. So
Okay,
there's tons of traffic over there. Really easy to get to right off of an exit. We're the only restaurant, literally the only restaurant out there,
okay.
which is kind of scary, but
It sounds like there's a buzz. Like I saw news reports online and
yeah,
stuff. So
yeah.
people
I
they're
think
excited.
it'll be really good. So yeah, we'll be kind of, it's like I said, it's kind of out in the middle of like not a lot, but it's also only 10 minutes outside of
Yeah,
town. You know what I mean? When you're out there, you feel like, whoa, like this is out here. You kind of see all the mountains and everything,
which
and
is
there's not
cool.
anything around. Yeah, it's awesome. It gives me a good little barbecue vibe. And it's just so much more space. So we got that spot really because more space, and also behind of it, we've got like a 2,000 square foot 3 bay garage door, like 3 bay door garage that is just wide open, that we're going to build racks in there and have like dry storage. We might build like walk-in fridges and stuff in there.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because our problem right now, we're just our space in there. Like I said, it's only like 1,500 square feet,
Yeah.
and our walk-in is ridiculous. Like we have to order stuff on certain days just so we can fit it in there. Like, okay, well, we know we're going to be trimming, all these briskets and stuff on Monday, Tuesday. So we'll get the delivery for Tuesday so we can fit this in there. And it's just like,
Logistically, it's a lot.
we're spending so much time every week trying to reorganize all of our storage spaces and figure out what all we need. So it's just been like a headache.
Wow.
Hopefully this will kind of open stuff up, and catering has been really big for us lately. So we just need to be able to like organize everything. So we're not just like killing ourselves over stuff that could be.
Are you doing to-go business too from this place?
Oh yeah, we actually have a drive-through window at our spot that we're at now,
You
and
do?
so we only use it for like call-in pre-orders. I mean, if some like old person or something rolls through and is like, I can't walk good or something like that, then we'll be like, okay, what do you want? We'll serve it right there out the window. Yeah, mostly that's for like call-in pickups, and it's super popular, especially if it's like raining or something. Then yeah, I mean, our call-ins are huge. It's a big part of the business for sure.
And so that'll help with the new location.
Yeah, well, we don't have a drive-through at the new location.
No, but it'll help like offset because like storing to-go stuff, storing
Definitely.
all the supplies.
And we can order bulk all of our seasoning, different stuff, to where we can have it and it's all organized in that big garage. So it's not like ordering like, oh well, we can only fit one thing of pepper right here for now. What I mean? So it's like every week we're having to reorder all.
It'll help food costs. It'll help your food costs, everything.
For sure.
When is this new place opening?
I said middle of September, but I think we're just gonna go for October 1st, like beginning of October. I think
that's not far off. That's great.
It's not far off, and we just still have to. The day we get in there, our AC breaks. Our AC went out because it was a huge storm. I think it got struck by lightning, and so luckily the landlord they covered it. But we get in there to start setting stuff up, and it's like 100 degrees in there, and we're just like, okay, this is not working. Like the AC is broke. So it's just been kind of one thing after another. Just little things that we got to get set up.
And that'll be set up the same way. You'll still order at the counter, and then is it gonna be called Project BBQ too, or?
Yeah, Project BBQ. It'll probably be Project BBQ South.
South, okay. And then will that be open Thursday through Saturday?
We're actually trying to open up that more. So we've been doing wood-fired pizza. That is blowing up like fast. We got a big old wood-fired pizza oven from Italy. And so we'll probably bring that over to the new spot. And we want to do Wednesday night pizza only, because we'll be there and like prepping, smoking, everything as well. Mm-hmm. So Wednesday night, and then Thursday, Friday, Saturday, barbecue and pizza all day long. And then we want to do a Sunday brunch.
Oh wow, okay. So that'll
like 10 to 2, 10 to 3.
Cool. So is it fun now?
Oh, it's awesome. Yeah. I'm loving it. And it was hard to, get employees that first year. I don't know how people are surviving, paying their bills, but we find literally just this past 2 weeks, we hired up like 7 to 10 people probably. Okay. So we're finally getting people in. And once we get people in and like hired up, then they stay. We've had the same employees legit almost probably like since we opened. We had a couple leave to go on to do something else. Yeah, our retention rate is really good.
Are you hiring right now? That was one of my questions I was going to ask.
Oh yeah, we're always hiring.
Okay, always so if someone's watching this, then they might.
We'd love to get somebody in that that actually knows a little bit of what they're doing. Right now, that like I said, it's just so different from anything else that's around here. So people don't really understand, like, what do you mean you show up at 2 a.m. and cook meats all day? Like,
yeah, it makes no sense.
Yeah, and so it's just a little bit of a learning curve. So, and it's just, I mean, I hate to say, I'm sure there's somebody around that knows what they're doing, but we haven't found anybody. We had to train up everybody on every single thing as far as what even, what dry wood even is, you know what I mean? Yeah. People didn't even know what it means whenever it's seasoned, you know what I mean? It's like, what do you mean? Like,
are you finding post oak out there, or?
No, it's all white oak, red oak, and we'll use some hickory.
Yeah.
But we noticed that using white oak and some red oak, it kind of gives off like the same kind of sweet notes and everything as a post oak. But yeah, we ran out of that post oak we brought back in like a couple of weeks.
Yeah, no, I'd imagine. What's your ideal platter that you would, like, say someone came in and you were putting something together for them? What would you?
Yeah, it would definitely be our right now, which is not going to be at the new spot, but it's our Andrew Jackson platter. It's a $20 platter. It's 3 meats, 2 sides, and I would definitely go brisket, ribs. So we were doing smoked turkey, of course, and then we stopped a few months ago because the prices. We were just eating it for a year basically. And now the price of turkey right now is just outrageous. So we started doing chicken and literally slicing it, smoking it just the same that we would do the turkey, and people are loving it, like absolutely loving it. So I would love to bring back turkey. I would have said, turkey,
Yeah.
brisket, and ribs, but the chicken, I mean, it sounds like just chicken. Like, how good is it? But it's honestly really good.
Yeah.
So, and it's different. We make like a nice, like a broth. It's kind of like we make a sticky Asian sauce. It's
Oh,
it's
cool.
like it's like a teriyaki-ish kind of sauce that we put on the ribs, and we make it like a broth and put the chicken in it to keep it like nice and moist and stuff for a while. And I guess I would say the brisket, chicken, and ribs is what I would go with.
And do you have sides? You have sides, but do you have desserts too?
Oh yeah, and so yeah, we have banana pudding, and then we had a bakery. Me and my girlfriend and one other baker. We started a bakery, and then I just had a little baby girl 4 months ago, and
Oh,
so we actually
congrats.
sold out of the bakery. But the bakery provides cookies and cupcakes and a whole bunch of other stuff to us as well.
You're not industrious at all. You're not a busy guy. You're not.
Yeah.
You sound pretty lazy. Oh, I had a bakery as well, and uh,
Yeah.
oh man,
Yeah. So I was really just I was helping out a friend, this girl that I went to high school with. She was just baking out of her house, and she would drop off all these cookies and cupcakes and stuff to the restaurant for me to try. And I was like, wow, I'm not a big sweet person, honestly.
yeah, yeah.
I don't eat
Same
a
with me.
bunch of that. But I loved everything. And so I was like, dang, like, why don't you just start doing this for us? Like, we'll order like 60 of these for every day or every week, whatever. And so we started doing that. And then she was doing it out of her house though, and didn't have had no commercial oven, anything like that. And so after like a few months of doing that, one of my buddies bought an old property that was used it was a pizza shop, but next door it was like what they used to make their dough, essentially like a little bakery.
Yeah,
And so I went and checked that out and ended up joining forces with the baker girl. I was like, hey, I'll get this spot for us so
yeah.
we can actually do it legit now. And so we started doing that, and we started baking a whole bunch of bread and stuff for some sandwich shops around town, and then all the cookies and stuff for Project BBQ. And so that it was going well. It was just too much with opening
So
up the
she
second
still has.
spot.
So she still has
She
that.
still does it. Yeah, she
Okay.
still has it.
Yeah, but do you guys use bread from her, or do you?
No, no, we use the Martin's rolls.
Okay.
Um, yeah, so we order the Martin's rolls. That was the goal eventually for her to make all of our buns and bread and stuff, but we we needed to start making money to pay for everything, and so we were just like, okay, well, we can
Yeah.
make white bread, wheat bread way easier than trying to figure out this potato bun right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we never got to make the bread for us, but that was on the list. It just didn't never ended up working out.
This is awesome because this is such a great option for that area, and it's obviously an area that needs what you have, and there isn't anything really close at all.
Yeah.
Like it's at all really. And so
For
this
sure.
is this has been awesome. What are all the different ways that people can get a hold of you, like social media wise and all that?
Yeah, so we're social media. We are on just Facebook and Instagram, Project BBQJC. Yeah, and then email. We have a website, projectbbqjc.com. And that's where all of our, you can go apply there. You can fill out a catering request there. You can see our menu. We have like our little story, everything on there about how it came about. Yeah, so you can find some information and stuff online.
That's
The
awesome.
website.
Well, this has been great, Alex. Like I can't wait.
Yeah,
I
I've
honestly
enjoyed it.
cannot wait till I'm able to actually travel and visit because both places will be open. This is really cool, and it's nice too because it's like this is the early days. Even though you've been through so much, this is the early days of this. So it'll be nice for you to look back and see your mindset. 5 years
For
from
sure.
now.
It really is crazy how it's all worked out just like pretty organically. I feel like it's
Yeah.
just like I said, when we moved it, we had, and honestly, it's funny that we're opening up number two because whenever we moved in just a year ago, basically a year and a half ago, into the brick and mortar, I was like, dude, I was looking at Hurtado and everything. I was like, I can't imagine opening up a second location. Like, this is just nonsense. Like, how in the world does anybody do it? And then, in 1 year, here we are.
Yeah,
We're already ready to try to open up number two. So it really is just crazy how it all works out. You're the
awesome.
man, Kevin. I
All right.
appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you too. I'll see you. Yeah, and I hope to see you soon. Hope to see you over the fall. And yeah, good luck with everything. Definitely.
For sure.